The quote that I have for this particular message is this: if the roots are steady, then the winds don't matter. No matter how beautiful a vision is, no matter how beautiful a building is, no matter how gorgeous. The other day, I was giving a talk on Wednesday. I was giving a talk in one of the Rotaries here in Nairobi. And right before it began, I remember the president of the Rotary Club was watching this video of this building that was being demolished at the coast here in Kenya, at the coast. So they were blowing it up, and then you were watching the entire building just breaking apart and just crumbling into pieces. And the reason why they had to do that is because the building was sinking. So the foundation of this particular building was in a way that because of small weight, the building started sinking, that it became unsafe for human consumption. They had to break it down and tear it apart. I'm saying breaking down and tear it apart. I've remembered this video. It's a is it TikTok? I don't quite remember. Instagram video of this girl who called the sheriff's office to say that she wanted her school demolished and broken down, blown up or broken down. It was a very interesting child because she didn't want homework. Anyway, so the concept that I have as far as this story of foundation is concerned is, regardless of how beautiful your house could be, regardless of how magical it might look like, then if the foundation is not steady, that house will not be able to stand the test of time, and it will shatter at the sight of the first sight of challenge. So in this particular situation that we get to discuss today, is the foundation that I'm discussing particularly is your own physical beingness, your body, your mind, your heart. So if your nervous system, your immune system, your emotional system, your mental system, your endocrine system, your cardiac system, if your foundation is not stable, then every single thing that we get to build out of that is going to be shaky, and any form of wind that will come will shake it out. So how regulated are you seeking to be every single day? How rooted in your heart are you choosing to be every single day? How aligned to your soul, to your higher self, are you choosing to be every single day? And how do you check your ego so that it aligns with the highest expression of your soul? We desire so much to build a life of purpose, a life of impact, and a life of peace. But the truth is, our inner scaffolding determines whether or not it is possible for us to attain any of these things. Our inner capacity, our inner ability to maintain this state of beingness throughout a prolonged period of time is what enables us to stay in a certain vibrational state that can make us a vibrational match to the things that we are desiring. And it's not just in the context of our physical beingness, meaning that our body must be perfectly healthy and things like that. I'm talking about the state of mind that we view ourselves. So caveat there, your nervous system being regulated, that will require your embodiment of a regulated nervous system. But if you're physically unhealthy, physically sick, and there's no particular solution that you have at the moment towards getting your body back into full health instantly, then what is your state of mind in relation to how you're feeling? What is the state of mind in relation to what your body is experiencing? Are you looking at it and going straight into victimhood, or are you looking at what you're going through and allowing yourself to hold a wider space to accommodate your body in the state that it's in? Because nature doesn't give you what it doesn't think is relevant to your highest expression. But the question in this particular moment is, what are your thoughts like? What are your emotions like? How deep is your breath? Is your body your safe space, or it's the one place you want to run away from? And our bodies is the foundation of our souls, guys. So if my body is not the place that I want to be in, then how truly is my own sense of stability? What does my foundation look like? So if I want to bloom, if I want to grow, and my branches and leaves as high into the sky, then it's going to be very, very important that my roots are deep into the soil so that it can hold the capacity to hold my leaves and my branches in the most expressive state that it could ever show up in. But to be able to do that, then I'm going to make sure it's paramount that my descent into the earth, my descent into myself, my descent into my beingness is equally as deep, so that it can reflect the without. Because as within, so without. So if I'm to build a life that the world doesn't break me, if I'm to live a life that the world doesn't bully me into submission of things that do not align with the highest expression of my soul, if I'm to build a life that allows me to speak to my hand, there's nothing you can tell me that will deter me from who I am, then how is your foundation? How is your foundation? Because anything else that misaligns you from peace, from easiness, from this deep inner beautiful understanding that everything is okay in this state that is in, anything that takes you away from that is a direct reflection of the foundation that we kind of have, or we're kind of carrying. So how is your foundation? How do we build a life that doesn't break us apart? It will mean that we'll have to go back to being truly in our state of truly embodying homeostasis. Our microcosm will be mirrored by the way the world looks like, the macrocosm around us. So my inner world is going to be reflected to me by the outer world. So my physical systems, my inner physical systems, my inner beingness is going to scream in the world around me based on the things that I get to see. And it's not going to fail because that's the law. So how is your world? How is your inner world? Are you your safe space? Will you always go back to yourself regardless of how the world is looking like? Will you always bet on you? Will you always bet on your ability to come back home to yourself? Can you do that? Can you allow yourself to do that, to come back into such a space? Because the truth is, to be able to conquer the world that we get to live in today does not mean that we have to go into the Himalayas or into the Amazon and stay in the forest so that we can convince ourselves that in this space nothing can impact me. If my foundation is already shaky, I could live in a world where it's all crystals and marbles and honey and milk, but I will still not see the magic in that particular space. I will still not be able to see it. So every single thing that I do will always collapse into the void that is not being filled by my allowance of recognizing who I truly am. Everything that we get to create will be sucked into the void that is constantly screaming, can you first come back home here? Because the truth is, every single thing that is matter will always collapse to the center of that particular matter. It will always come back because like attracts like, right? So the matter will always collapse back into itself. So if we're not seeing where the void is, and we're not recognizing that to fill that void, it means that the foundation that I kind of have to build will have to hold in a way that there is no void inside of me, so that there is no void outside of me. So what is your foundation like? How does it look like? And can you say for certain that based on the desires we are creating together in this practice, that your inner world has the capacity to hold space for you? That's the second message for today. Ooh, thank you, Jen.